Hello, good afternoon or good morning. Welcome to the sixth episode and very special episode of the Ferrara Film Festival talk show. And as we call it, Walk and Talk, I have the immense pleasure of having next to me one of the biggest director in the world, Mike Newell. Thank you so much for being here in Ferrara. So first time in Ferrara, I suppose?
Yes, and beautiful, and I'm enjoying it, and it's absolutely tremendous to be here. Thank you.
And it's our immense honor to have you here.
Well,
and
good.
So basically, now we're gonna just, I would love to hear so many stories about your life, but with the limited time, I'll try to capture something.
Of course.
Something very, very unique. Because in talk show they just mention in general, career here, career there. I had the immense pleasure of spending a couple of days with you. And the story, the little stories, the little details that you mentioned, they're very, very, very interesting. So let me ask you. So, you directed such great movies. Four Weddings and a Funeral, Mona Lisa Smile, Donnie, Brasco. Even blockbusters like Harry Potter. So, what is out of this wonderful career? One of a couple of memories that just randomly sometimes you just open your eyes, you think about it, and you remember fondly. If you can remember something.
Sure. I remember fondly where I began, which is long before anything that you have described, which was in a television company in Manchester, in England, and they were a very good company for drama.
Mm-hmm.
They had wonderful writers working for them, and I came from the south of England, and I came from a medieval town, and so I didn't realize what the north of England was like. I didn't know about industry and red brick and stuff like that. And I got there when I was 21, and I've walked into a completely different world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd been at school in the south of England, I'd been at university in Cambridge, I had always medieval, right? And now suddenly, bang, there was Manchester, which was industry and very energetic, but the people were completely different. There is that thing about the English where, what they do is they actually stand off the whole time. They don't, no. And in Manchester, they absolutely come forward. Hey, how are you? How are you? And that was a revolution in... we can get around that, don't worry about it. It was a revolution in the way that people behaved and the sort of stories that they told. And I began working... When I very first worked, I began on a soap opera, a very famous soap opera. And of course, the soap opera was concerned with ordinary people's stories. And so suddenly, having studied Shakespeare and literature the whole time, all of a sudden, I was dealing actually with life in a street. And that was an enormous revolution and a complete revelation to me about
to adjust in this new world. How long did it take? Did it take a while, or you get used to it pretty quickly?
It probably took 6 months, a year, something like that.
Okay.
And that took a while, but they also had different concerns. They were warmer and more open. Of course, what happened was that the people who were writing the stories reflected that.
Of course. And it's very similar, like the north and south of Italy. As I'm listening to you, it's very similar. North and south, it's very much similar. What you
and they're very warm up there. They're sweet, warm people.
That's really
so. That
cool.
was a huge change. And then simply I spent 10 years working for that company and making more and more complicated dramas. And then we all, my generation, because my generation is the same generation, for instance, as Stephen Frears. We were at university together.
Yes.
And we began not to want to, we wanted to open up. The stories needed to be wider, the stories needed to be more out there, the stories needed to be more complicated, and above everything else, what we wanted was that.
Oh yeah, the camera.
Yes.
I know.
Because when we made television, what we had was not one of those, we had 4 or 5. And you would just go bink, 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 bink.
That's true.
And it wasn't like, what is this shot really, what's this shot about? What's it going to do? And so we were very ambitious to have that camera.
That's very true.
And we began to make television films. And from there, we moved, quite naturally into small features and then on from there.
And then after, so let me ask you, you worked with the biggest stars on the play. You worked with Al Pacino, with Johnny Depp, with Julie Roberts, and you name it. So there is a huge difference between working with your lead actor, like a superstar, or a fairly unknown actor. So obviously, I would like to ask you, who would you like to work better? But I'm sure you don't want to answer that. But it's
no, I don't mind that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the point about the actors. Are we keeping going?
Yeah,
Is it
that's
okay
fine.
with right? The point about working with the actors is really to do with the relationship that you can manage to make. Now, I mean, just take those 3. Johnny, Al, Julia. The relationship with Julia was difficult for me. I think probably difficult for her. She is consummately a professional and a very, very good actress. And so those things don't show on the screen, but they're there. Whereas with Al is one of the great actors and he can express by doing almost nothing. If he thinks, it'll be there. Somehow or another, it'll be. I don't understand actors. I think they are
that's very interesting.
I think they're wonderful, but I don't know how they do it. And if I did, I suppose I would be an actor. But,
what about Johnny?
Well, Johnny is, and whereas Al is absolutely an actor and a kind of classically trained actor, and he can work in the theatre, he can work in films, all over everywhere, because he has a very big, solid training. Johnny is started as tell me where we want to go. We just okay, cool. Johnny is somebody who rose through his wit. He's a very intelligent man, and through his looks, he's very beautiful. And he also he's got a wonderful sense of humor. And he's a mimic. He can absolutely, and what he looks for in a character is he looks for the little qualities, the quirks, the eccentricities, and then he'll pick them out, and it's like he puts them on a pegboard and dit, until suddenly you can sort of see, that connects to that, and that connects to that, and suddenly there is a performance. And so he's in a way, he's more... It's much more difficult to predict what Johnny will do than it is to predict what Al will do.
Al Pacino, yeah. Very different methods.
Yes. But they were sweet and they were kind. and that they're great stars. And if you think about it in terms of military rank, Al Pacino outranks you. He outranks everybody.
You mentioned when I asked a couple of days ago how was working with Al Pacino. So you just stay out with his way, right?
Yes. Don't. Yes.
You don't direct.
Don't get in
you just
his way.
let him do him.
Absolutely, don't get in his way. I mean, we had. So and partly what that's to do with is that he has an extremely private and acute instinct. So the character that he played when I worked with him, it was important that, shall we continue to move?
Yeah, sure.
The character he played when I worked with him, it was important that he wear glasses. He had specs the whole time. Well, what happens when that happens on a movie is that the prop man gets 200 pairs of glasses, right? He lays them all out on a table, and then the actor comes in and he chooses the glasses he wanted. Well, I was there when Al did that because the glasses were very important. I needed to know what he was going to do.
And we're talking about Donnie Brasco, right?
This is Donnie Brasco. And he... bang, that one.
So very quickly.
No, not particularly quickly. He was looking at them very carefully. Maybe it took 20 minutes. But he absolutely knew what he wanted, and he put the glasses on, and they made him look like a kind of demented wasp, like some crazy insect, right? They were very elaborate, and well, he looks slightly nuts in them. And of course, what Al knew was, and one of the reasons that the part and the project interested him was that he'd done all of those crime movies. He'd been Michael in The Godfather.
Right.
He'd done, the drug movie. And he'd done all, but what he'd never done was a little guy, somebody of no importance, and he'd never done a person who could make you laugh. He'd never done comedy. No, people didn't know him for a comic actor.
Speaking of that, I would love to ask you, because you've done, speaking of something you haven't done, you've done your career, and by the way, I'll remind our friends at home that we'll be giving the Career Achievement Award on Sunday at the Ferrara Film Festival. But speaking of that, so your genres, you span through blockbusters, historic movies, drama. So, out of all the movies that you've done, what would you love to do that you haven't done yet?
Oh, I'd love to make a Western.
A Western?
I'd love to do a Western.
That's amazing.
I'd love to do a Western. I'd love to do a musical. Those are the two things that I haven't ever done, and I would just for the hell of it. And I once found the most wonderful script by John Milius, which was a Western, and then for some reason it just kind of floated away. We couldn't get it made. It was very frustrating. It was tremendous. It was about an Indian, and thinking back on it, I think that if I'd known then what I know now, I would have said, there's this actor, his name's Johnny Depp, he could play this. And we would have got the movie made. But as it was, we didn't. But it was absolutely tremendous and very complicated. Not kind of white hats and black hats, not the sort of 1920s and 30s Western, but a kind of modern, grand film.
Yeah. Who would you love to play with? I mean,
Well, I would have taken Johnny.
Johnny? Okay.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That's
but
great.
it's too late. Johnny's too old, and the script.
Wonderful. I mean, I could talk to you like for hours and hours, but we are reaching at the end of the square. So let me ask you one question, because we're in Ferrara. Would you like to shoot a movie in Ferrara?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Mayor, Sindaco, okay?
Absolutely. I mean, you could never build this. That castle back there is fantastic.
I know. In fact, as I said, we don't need a studio. We have
you
like
don't.
a billion dollar studio here.
It's absolutely right. And the streets, which are fascinating as well, these packed little medieval streets, they're very photogenic. The whole town is photogenic.
Very photogenic.
It's a tremendous place. I would love to do that. Yes.
Yes, and you know how to find us.
Yeah, I do indeed. Are we continuing, or are we done?
One last question.
Yes.
So tomorrow we will have the honor of screening Donnie Brasco, presented by you, and I just remind our friends at home that if you have any questions for Mr. Newell, you'll be able to ask all about it tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at the Apollo Cinepark in Ferrara. So again, I deeply thank you so much for this walk and talk.
I'm very glad to have been here. It's very nice to be here.
It's our pleasure, and great food also. Let's not mention of the food. Thank you so much. So tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. at the Apollo Cinepark, and then on Sunday, the day after tomorrow, at 8 p.m. the Golden Dragon Awards, and I'll have a little surprise for you, but obviously I can't tell you.
No, of course you can't. No.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be a surprise.
I will prepare my surprise face.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mike. An immense honor. Thank you so much, dear friends, and have a wonderful day. And viva il cinema.
Okay, yes, viva il cinema. Are we done? Is that it? How wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thanks, chaps.